Hi Best Buds, it's Cathy with Cathy's Garden, and I'm so happy that you joined me today. In today's project, you can use a junk mail windowed envelope, or you could use a newer mailer with a window. I have coffee dyed mine. You could also coffee dye your junk mail windowed envelope as well. We're going to use our windowed envelopes. We're going to use some paper pad paper, and we're going to use some of our book pages. We're going to take these today and we're going to make a beautiful piece of ephemera for our junk journals. Won't you join me? Today I'm going to use my windowed envelopes that I have coffee dyed, and I'm going to open up my envelope so it's completely open. Now, after you coffee dye your envelopes, usually it's easier to open them up completely like this. I just find it easier to decorate the inside, even the outside. You also can take it to your machine. You can sew around the window, which I think is really pretty. So I have lots of scrap pieces of paper pad papers. This one happens to be a cardstock. I believe all the rest of these are lighter weight papers. Placing your printed paper pad paper in the window area, you're able to see what it will look like. All kinds of prints you can use for this purpose. They don't even have to be large, just large enough to fill the window. Which one do you think we should choose? That one's quite beautiful, isn't it? I also really liked this one, and then this one caught my eye as well. I like that one too, and you can move it around and you can see what part of the print you might like. Oh my goodness, that's really pretty right there, isn't it? I like that one a lot. I'm thinking maybe we should just use this right here because I do love that. All right, to get this into our window, I'll be using my art glitter glue, and I'm going to place my art glitter glue. I'm going to pull this up like this. I'm going to place my art glitter glue around my window, and I'm going to put it around the window with the plastic and without the plastic. So I really have been quite generous with that. And I'm going to find where I want it and then just place it down, press it down, and have that be what we want in our window. I'm going to pull this portion back, this portion of my envelope, and now I'm going to trim out my paper. I'm going to be trimming all around the edge. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue this down. I do believe I'm going to take it just a little bit shorter just to make sure that it clears this fold, and I'm going to do the same right here. I'm going to just cut a little bit more off, just so everything folds back up nicely and it doesn't bind. But I do want this to be glued down. Now I could cut it off, but I think I'll just glue it down. Here is when I can take it to my machine and sew around the edge. I actually think I'm going to do that to this one, but let's go ahead and let's make one that isn't sewn around the edge of the window. So opening up your envelope, and if you're having trouble, you can take a mist bottle or a sponge and add a little bit of water, and it will help loosen up that glue so that you can get your envelope open. Here are papers that we were looking at and trying out to see if what we liked. I really liked this one too. This was another one of my choices. I don't know. Do I want that, or do I want to do something totally different? Maybe a brighter print, or even this blue. I don't know. I think I'm going to do the blue, just for something a little different. So once again, I'm going to open my envelope up and place my glue right up around the window. This one is a smaller scrap, so I don't need to cut it down anymore. And I just want to make sure it clears this fold without binding, and it does. Wiping off the extra glue. That looks great. All right, so we've got this one. I'm not going to sew around this window, but I'm going to take this one to my machine and I'm going to sew around probably a couple of times. As you can see, I sewed around my window a couple of times. This is how it looks on the inside. Once we have our window completely covered, whether you sew around or you don't sew around, now it's time to line the inside. We're going to be making a top loading pocket with a closure out of these nailers here. So you'll want to have your window down here in the bottom. Now whether your window's on the left or on the right, that portion won't matter. But what will matter is that you have your window down below. You also don't want a window that's so large it's going to go way up here. I have a few mailers that have quite large windows. Those wouldn't be your choices for this project. Let's fold down our flap for our closure. Now this is all personal preference at this point in time. Also, you might consider the height of your journal that you're going to be placing this into. If I fold it at this height, it's going to be 7 inches. So you will definitely need your pages to be at least 7 inches long. Let's go ahead and make it just a little shorter. So let's bring it down right here and that increase it. And that's going to be about 2 3/4 of an inch that we've brought it down. Creasing it with my bone folder, and then that's going to make this piece of ephemera 6 3/4 inches. That really would fit just about any junk journal that we make, unless it's a mini, of course, unless it's a mini. So let's go ahead and let's fold this one down so it's approximately the same height. Now I need to look to see where my window is, and that means I'm folding this portion right here. I'm actually going to fold this one at 6 1/2 inches. So this one's going to be just a tiny bit shorter. Tiny bit. There's one like this, so maybe you can get an idea of how much you want to fold yours down. Let's make this portion into more of a tag shape. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim the corner right here. I'm going to take this piece, placing it here to use as a template. We'll cut this off in just a minute. Let's place this here for a template. And let's cut this. So it's going to be approximately the same size. Removing this portion right here, I'm going to open it up so you can see what's happening. I'm going to remove this portion right here. So just straight like that. And then I'm going to remove this one as well. Now I can't really see where my crease is, so I'm going to turn it this way just to help me see better. Highlight it with my ink. Now I can really see where I need to cut. Now we look just like this. And there's our flap. Now you can have this flap be this tall, or we can bring it down a bit so it's not quite so tall. I think I'd rather have it look like that than like this. So I'm going to fold this up. Oh goodness, it's about 1.5 inches, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim this off. Yeah, I do like that better. I just think it's more in proportion. Now I'm going to need to do the exact same thing over here. So this is where we folded it down. So we're going to lift it up. We're going to make a tag shape. So we're going to cut this corner off. Here's the piece that I've cut off. I'm going to place it right here on this side. And I'm going to use it as a template to cut my other corner. I'm not doing a very good job. Okay, it'll be fine. Okay, it's close enough, right guys? We're going to remove this portion right here. We're going to remove this portion. I highlighted it last time. I think I can see it better now. And we're going to fold the flap up just a little bit. What was it? About 1.5 inches or so? I think that's what we said. It doesn't have to be perfect, just something like that. It's time to line the inside of our envelopes. I think book page will be perfect. I have a very large book page right here. And what I would like to do is I would like to open up my envelope. See, opening up your envelope really does make everything so much easier. And because it's so large, I will be able to get everything covered with one sheet. Now, possibly you might need to use 2 pages of books, or maybe 3, maybe if your books are really small. Because we're going to need to cover this 2 side flaps, the center section, and this that we cut into a tag shape. You do not need to cover this portion right here. So I'm going to make it super simple. I'm going to take my art glitter glue. I need to remove this little portion right here. Covers the stickiness of the envelope, self-sealing envelope. And I'm going to add my glue to the back side of my envelope like this. I like to really glue the folds, so that's why I'm going kind of around like loopy-loopy. And let's do the flap, the closure, and then the other side of our center. All right, we've got that all done. Let's turn it over and let's place it right onto our book page. Maybe something like this will be fine. Pressing it down, especially right at the folds. And then we're going to need to get our scissors and we're going to cut it out. Before I do that, I'm going to move right over here to this other side of this page, opening up this one, and I'm going to glue this one down just like this. Cut my page so it's easier to manage. And let's trim it out. Now it's time to fold our envelopes and grab your ink if you like that look and ink your envelopes on the outside and then just right across here on the inside. You won't be seeing anything that's down below this fold right here. I thought it might be fun to use some stamps on our envelopes. I have a very small paragraph stamp here, and I have my Stays On Timber Brown. I'm just going to stamp here and there. I'm not going to be precise. I just want a little bit of stamping. I'm going to turn it this way. This is my flap and this is the top. So I'm going to open it up this way because I'd like my words to be right side up on my flap. So now they are. Maybe just a few pieces of script here and there on the back. I'm going to do the same thing to this one and then the flap. I'm going to turn it around this way. And then on the back side. Let's talk about decorating. I have some ruffles I made with some pattern paper in the same color scheme as the coffee dyed paper. I have some lace. I thought that would make it very vintage looking. So I think on this one right here, I'd like to do something with the lace and the ruffled pattern paper. I'm going to trim out a little bit of this lace, just kind of following the design of the lace. I don't want it to be just cut straight. Let's put a few decorations on here. I made a little faux envelope. I thought that would be cute, maybe up there. There's just a little piece of ephemera here. Maybe gluing it, something like that. So I'm going to glue this smaller piece on this larger piece first. And then let's glue the whole thing down. I'm switching to my hot glue gun. It's a Sure Bonder high temp with a specialty tip on it. We got that glued down. And then maybe a little bow made from Sari silk from Crimson Heart Studios. And then let's just twist this around and pop it down like this. So we're just telling the streamers of the bow where we want it to go. Maybe something like that would be sweet. And then right down here. Oh, I like that. Now for a closure, you could put a portfolio closure on here, but you know, we're gonna have to glue it closed first. Let's glue this portion on here. Make sure it didn't get glued shut. Maybe I put too much glue on there. Oops. And then let's glue here and here, and then just close it. Now I'm going to make sure I didn't accidentally glue it closed down there at the bottom. Got a little happy with my glue there. Yeah, it's okay. All right, so we have a beautiful large pocket that's lined with our book pages. And as I said, you could do a portfolio closure here. It'd be really cute. Or you could take a label that's printed on some cardstock and just barely catch the edge of the label to the flap of the envelope and just glue a little bit down on the bottom. So you're just barely catching that. So it's easy to tack right back underneath. And then there you go. There's an easy closure. Let's decorate our second piece. I have another label right here. And let's go ahead and glue this closed first. So my book page, I'm going to glue onto my flap here. I'm going to glue right here like this. And then just lay it. I'm not going to do that extra part that almost got my envelope glued together. Okay, so now a beautiful pocket lined with our book page. Okay, and then let's put our closure on now. We're going to barely catch the flap of our envelope with just a little bit of glue at the bottom of the label. Now if you don't have a label, you could cut yourself a little rectangle of your cardstock of your paper pad, and that would work well too. Just like that. Super cute. And then over here, let's bring our lace in again and let's cut another little piece here. I'm just going to follow my lace around. Maybe something like that. I like it going this way. I'm going to switch to my hot glue gun for this and get that glued down like that. And then a little bit of that pattern paper ruffle. I'm going to break it this time before I glue it down. I think I'm going to tilt it. I think. So I'm going to tilt it this way. And then my little butterfly, about tilting it the opposite way. I think it might be fun for this one if we pop a little flat back pearl in the center of the butterfly. We could put a bow. I do have some Sari silk here that's pretty close to the blue color. I don't know if we really want it or need it, but oh, how about right there? Let's just glue it down right there. And then I'm gonna take my streamers. I think these are really cute. A great way to add a little interactiveness in your junk journals. Pop them into a pocket. You could even use these as a tag. It has a tag shape. You can journal on the back, and you can put something lovely inside. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please give me a thumbs up. I invite you to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video. I'll see you there, guys. Bye now.